What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis, brought to you by the Painted Lines Network, as we are streaming to you guys live through TPL's YouTube and Twitter pages. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. And if you are new here, we're also streaming to you guys live through DSM Media's Twitch account. So please give us a follow here at DSM Media on Twitch. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And let's get right down to business, as today I'm with my man, George Ryder. Give him a follow on Twitter as well, @_George Ryder. And it's going to be a fun show, dude. I had to start it a minute early because I just couldn't wait to talk to you, all you Atlanta Hawks fans that have been in my mentions in the comments the other day on Monday's show. I don't expect to see them here in the comments today, George. I think it's more just of a hopeful feeling that they still have that false bravado. All that false bravado they had after the Knicks series, all that false bravado after they win game 1. Hawks in 5. The Sixers have no answer for Trae Young. They're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yada, yada, yada. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Here we are, series tied up 1-1, heading back to the ATL as the Sixers win by 16 last night at home on the back of a 40-burger from Joel Embiid, as he drops 39 in game 1, 40 in game 2. So I guess that's where I'll start with you, George. All I keep hearing about nationally on Twitter from Hawks fans, hell, from some Sixers fans, I've heard it, is that the Sixers have no answer for Trae Young, and that's why they're going to lose the series. Trae Young, right? When quite literally the Sixers have proven that they have an answer for Trae Young after the first half of game 1. They started out with Danny Green on him on game 1. He cooked Danny Green. I think he had like 25 and 8 or 25 and 7 in the first half of game 1. Then they made adjustments at halftime. He comes out in the second half of game 1, different looks at him. I think he shot 30%. I think he was 3 of 10 from the field in game 1 in the second half with 10 points. Only one more assist or so. He struggled in game 1 in the second half. And he got locked up last night. He had 21 points, 6 of 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from deep. But all I keep hearing about is how the Sixers don't have an answer for him, and that will be the reason they lose the series. And then I look at it from our point of view, and I look at it from the MVP runner-up's point of view, who is quite literally averaging 39.5 through the first 2 games of the series. 39 in game 1, 40 in the win last night. But I don't hear a peep about how the Atlanta Hawks have zero answer, zero response for the big fella. Who are you going to, Clint Capella? That's cute. That's cute because Clint Capella is getting his lunch money taken. He was an astounding minus 25 last night. And if Clint Capella picks up a couple early fouls, as he did last night, or if Clint Capella is getting cooked and they try to throw different looks at him, George, they don't have any other bodies to throw at him. They're trying to. John Collins got a couple looks. Who's that? Ngakwe, whoever the backup center is, the young Ngakwe kid or whatever. He has no idea what to do right now against Joel Embiid. But all I keep hearing about is the guy who will pull up from the parking lot. I don't know if that's why. He's the small perimeter player. He reminds some people of Stephen Curry, and that's what they're looking for, the deep ball compared to a big man in Joel Embiid. I don't know what it is. The Sixers have an answer for Trae Young, everybody. The Atlanta Hawks have zero, zilch, nada for number 21 in the red, white, and blue. And that's where I'll start today's show. So, George, thoughts on that and just some thoughts on the game last night.
Can we mention that he's averaging 39.5 on a torn meniscus?
Yeah, on very efficient shooting, I might add.
And he's still moving very as well as he did when he was healthy. It's incredible to watch. And all the Hawks fans, I saw a lot of, actually after game 1, we saw a lot of people saying put Ben Simmons on Trae Young. Let's see what happens from Hawks fans. I think we saw it happen. 1 for 7 from 3. And even wide open, he had 2 wide open threes. He just absolutely missed. He had a really bad game, and he still dropped 21, and we still won by 16. If you shut down Trae Young, which I assume that is going to happen most of the series with Ben on him, what is their other scoring option that's going to win them the series? Nobody.
They got 20-some from Kevin Huerter last night.
Shooter. I like Huerter, but no, he's not gonna win you the series. So last night was awesome. I mean, from the jump, they just came out firing. Danny Green sneaks one off the tip. scores right off the bat, building goes crazy, and then just momentum drove us the whole time. And like after every single Hawks little comeback too, we just kept pulling away. We didn't see an all-bench lineup from Doc, which was incredible. Love to see that. Toby goes out there and starts the game 8 for 9 from the field. Like, just an amazing game, too. A great way to start.
So I want to touch on all the bases on today's show. I want to cover every angle, every, key to victory from last night. You mentioned Toby, Doc. We're already talking about Joel, Ben's, and the team's defense on Trae. And I guess we'll just continue there with Trae. And you're going to hear me say it a lot this series. Pressure, burst, pipes, my dude. The Atlanta Hawks had their fun. They punched the Sixers in the mouth in the first half of game 1. What did you see in the fourth quarter and then the second half of game 1? When the Sixers got their heads out of their asses and applied pressure, the Hawks, not even just saying this as a Sixers fan, the Hawks looked shell-shocked. They looked scared. They looked scared for the moment in Philadelphia, all that. Game 2, the Hawks get punched in the mouth. Now, don't get me wrong. I got some admiration for the way they cut it. They kept cutting it to 1 to 2 to 3. They took a 2-point lead in the third quarter for 10 seconds, but they kept the game close for as long as they could. But pressure, burst, pipes, man, and not just sticking with the Trae Young thing. Not only did you start Ben out on him, and you gave the Defensive Player of the Year the first look at him, which I loved, and if it wasn't him, it was Matisse. So I love Doc's strategy there. But they also hedged the screens so much better last night. They trapped around the high screen so much better. They didn't allow him. They didn't, drop back Joe so deep into drop coverage and allow Trae Young to infiltrate the painted area and get off that little 8-foot floater or 6-foot floater or get the lob to Capella a lot. They got a couple lobs last night. He had like 2 floaters, but they were hedging the screen and not allowing him to do that and making him get rid of the ball. And then they denied him the ball pretty well after he got rid of it. So I think the Sixers defense, their adjustment to guard Trae Young last night is something I really hope Doc continues throughout the series. And I don't see any reason he would shy away from what what he did last night. We have a comment here from Ben. Good day, George and Dylan. Go Sixers. I'm assuming that's what he meant to say. What's going on, Ben? Thank you so much, man. And then just, let's get to your next point, George. Tobias Harris.
Yep.
I think he had 22 last night, which if you go from his first quarter stat line, probably a little underwhelming. But what I'll say about Tobias Harris last night is he set the tone. He's the one that came out and punched Atlanta in the mouth last night. Okay? He came at 16 first quarter points. He was unguardable early. You want to throw whoever was on him. They were also another thing. They were hunting Trae Young on the offensive end, which is something that they didn't do in game 1. But whether it was Bogdanovich, whether it was Herter, whether it was Trae Young, whoever it was, they had no answer for Tobias Harris early. And he's the one that came out and punched them in the mouth and really set the tone offensively for the 76ers. 76ers offense, the starters were spectacular, I thought, last night. And he's the one that came out and set that tone. And that's something that I really was happy to see. And then, to your next point, Doc Rivers, something I said to you before the game. I think Doc's done playing around. It's something that we've questioned a decent amount with his, and something that I was very frustrated with after game 1 was that hockey shift, that 5 in, 5 out, all bench unit. And you see him kind of do it in the first half. I know Toby was out there with 4 bench players, so it wasn't a full hockey shift, I'd say, for a lot of the time. But the bench got outscored, 32-0 in the first half. And that's why Atlanta was able to stick around and hang in this game, George. He was done messing around, dude.
It was over.
I think he ran 7 in the second half. I know, like, later in the game, guys got the play or whatever, but it was Matisse was coming in and out to play defense on Trae Young. And when Shake got that nod, which is the next point that I'll get to, and that we'll get to, those were really the only bench players that I remember playing meaningful minutes in the second half. I think George Hill did as well. I'm sorry. So I think
George Hill was there for like 20 minutes.
And then Dwight came in. Joel played the entire third quarter. Dwight started the fourth quarter, and then he brought Joel back in. So he played more than 7. But my point is, it was a strict 7, and then Hill and Dwight came in sparingly throughout the second half a little bit. So that's something I really, really like to see. And again, I hope that adjustment continues throughout the course of the series and the course of this postseason. Ferk, it's over, dude. Everybody on the Sixers was a plus last night. Max was a -4. He struggled. He's been forcing the issue the first 2 games of the series.
Yeah.
but Ferk was a -11, dude.
He goes
You know
out.
that, like, the kind of indictment that is on you, like
That's rough.
that's a bad look, Ferk. But George, here's my next question for you, man. Where were you when the Shake Milton game happened? Because my God, Shake and Bake came out to play last night, and I guess he was just ready for when his number was called. I guess like I think I saw a report that he was in the gym at like 10 p.m. the night before getting shots up or whatever. But I've been very critical and I've been very hard on Shake Milton this season. And I was done with him. And I think a lot of Sixers fan base was, especially with the way Tyrese Maxey was playing. He became the fan favorite, and everyone was tired of Shake. But Doc had to dig down and dig deep and reach down deep on that bench because he was getting literally nothing offensively from his bench last night. And Shake came in and a light switch went off, dude. Three ball at the buzzer from deep. Gets in the lane, little fade away. And he cooked. I think he was 4 of 5 from 3 or 3 of 4 from 3, one of those. I think he had 14 points in 11 minutes of run there. And he's the reason that, because the Hawks had taken the lead. I think it was 82-80 in the third quarter. He inserted Shake, and that was it. That's all she wrote. That game was over.
Yeah, I feel like, because, like, you know, Shake, you lose your minutes to a rookie. Things aren't looking great for you. You haven't looked good in, like, 2 months. So him getting that chance, that opportunity after Korkmaz goes out there, does terrible, the bench scores 0 points. Him getting that opportunity, like, it was do or die for him. Like, that was going to get him minutes coming forward in the playoffs, and he didn't miss a beat. And, like, I don't think we lose that game no matter what, but Shake Milton off the bench is a huge part why we started pulling away and getting a blowout at the end. Like, him coming out there and just absolutely setting the building on fire. 4 for 5 from 3, and that buzzer beater just – after that buzzer beater, it was over. And I feel like we all felt that. Like, after that buzzer beater, momentum just switched completely. It was – the Hawks were out of it. Shake Milton talking the talk, walk into the bench. He was a shooter. Like, he looked like the guy that he was against the Clippers. He looked like the guy that he was at the beginning of the season. So if you get that from Shake Milton, then this bench just gets so much more dangerous. And it gives you so many more options because Shake wasn't really a big option coming into the series. You see him last night. You see what he did. He's going to get minutes. He's going to get on the floor now. And hopefully he's going to not be afraid to let it fly because if that shot's going down, then Shake's cooking. Shake is cooking.
Yeah, and again, this is no expectation that Shake Milton's going to come out and hit 4 threes off the bench for you. Hell, hit 3 threes off the bench for you. But it changes a lot, dude. I'm not saying he's some sort of, missing piece or the X factor to make a title run here. But when you're seeing the bench struggle so damn much on the offensive end of the floor, he's the guy. He was supposed to be the guy all year. That's 6, and now it's just that pairing with George Hill makes it so much more easy if Shake can score and contribute offensively. Because now George Hill, he hasn't been looking to score. He's been just looking to run the offense, but he's had no running mate to score, right? Yep. Now that's going to make life easier for him. When Shake came in last night, Dwight Howard looked 1,000 times better. I swear to God, everything changed with that bench. It's going to be huge. It's going to be critical to see if he can keep that up. And again, I'm not saying on those type of shooting numbers or anything like that, but just providing offense off the bench and not getting killed. Because in the first half, dude, the minutes without Embiid on the floor, the Sixers were a -16.
Yeah, it's bad when he's off the court. And, like, the way the bench is performing, like, just having a guy like Shake that can make us a little bit deeper is huge for us, especially because he wasn't giving you anything before that game. So having Shake to maybe even take – because, like, you're relying more on a rookie than you are on Shake Milton.
Right.
And if Shake Milton is going to actually perform and give you numbers, not even like last night, because last night you're not expecting 4 for 5 off the bench from 3, but if he's giving you that, that's a huge, huge thing for us.
No, I'm with you, man. I just think, and other few, pieces to look at from last night's game. Seth Curry was great offensively. He has been for most of this playoffs so far. I think he hit 5 threes. He was 5 of 6 from 3 or so, but he got hunted defensively, and that was something to keep an eye on. Danny Green continues to struggle from deep so far in this series. I have faith in Danny Green. I think he had 8 assists last night. He's affecting the game in other ways. He did not get cooked on the defensive end as people on our postgame show were making it out to seem. Yeah, he got beat by Danilo Gallinari once or twice, and it's a bad look. Don't get me wrong, but it's not he didn't cost you anything. He was a plus 12 in a 16-point win. Last night just wasn't the night to get on Danny Green. Ben Simmons didn't do much offensively, but we all know what he did defensively last night. And that's just, a conversation I'll have with you real quick before I get back to the whole big picture of this series and how it's played out so far, George. It's just that, Ben Simmons had 4 points. He was 2 of 3 from the field. He only took 3 shots. And we were talking about this on DSM Media's postgame show last night. He's so damn polarizing. And I say that because he is one of the very few, maybe the only player I know in this league that is on a game-to-game basis of what you need, right? So I get it. Against the Brooklyn Nets, you're going to need the defense that he put out last night, that defensive effort, but you're going to need more than 3 shots. You're going to need more than 4 points. I am well aware of that. But you can't be mad about that stat line last night, because it's just not what the game called for. It's not what Doc Rivers called for, right? He only had 4 points. He didn't hunt his shot, but he wasn't detrimental to the offense. He wasn't, clogging up the offense. He wasn't turning the ball over. He wasn't forcing the issue pace-wise. He wasn't stalling the offense. The offense was fantastic when Ben Simmons was on the floor last night. He just didn't happen to have the ball in his hands a ton for it, right? So he wasn't a detriment to your offense. He locked up Trae Young. I think he had 7 assists or so. It's just what it called for. Now, the next game might call for him to put up double-digit shots and have 16 to 20 points. I don't know. But it just last night, guys, isn't the game to harp on the 4 points.
No, to put it lightly, I don't give a damn if Ben Simmons is putting up 4 points if most of his effort is going towards shutting down their number 1 scorer. Like, he went out there and he did what he had to do. What did we want to do going into game 2? Shut down Trae Young. What did Ben Simmons go out there and do? He shut down Trae Young. He didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, like you said, he had like 7 assists. Like, Ben Simmons had a fine game, especially on the defensive end. He had an amazing game. Right. So I don't care if he's scoring 4 points, especially if the offense is clicking.
Now, again, against the Nets, that story might change because not only you're going to need the defense, what firepower you're going to need offensively from your second best player, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, that's not saying Ben needs to score 20. I'm not saying any of that. But it's going to be a game-to-game basis. It's also on a win-loss scale, right? So I say that because JD made a great point last night. And it's what is really aggravating to me about our fan base and everything like that is game 1, Ben Simmons had 17 points. Pretty aggressive, had 17 and 10. You didn't hear a peep about Ben Simmons' performance, really. The free throw line you heard about, but whatever. But you didn't hear a peep about his aggressiveness, his scoring, his points, all that. They win or lose game 1, George?
Oh, we lost game 1.
Okay. He had 4 points last night. 3 shots. We win or lose last night, George?
I think we won.
We won by 16, right?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, okay. See, that's the point, guys. So remember how months ago I was sitting here saying to you, I really think a portion of this fan base would, be more quiet in a 25-point Ben Simmons performance and a loss compared to a 9-point Ben Simmons performance and a W. And that's what I cannot stand. He didn't hurt your offense in any way, shape, or form. The offense was actually fantastic when he was on the floor last night with it. He locked up their best player. And if he locks up Trae Young like that, they lock up Trae Young like that. Good night, Irene. Good night, ATL, because it's over. Because that's the only prayer that you had. So I don't get it, man. I just wanted to touch on that because I know it has been a topic of discussion on social media and with some people. I can't stand it. But just getting back to a bigger scope, the larger scope of this series, George, and it's almost as if, it's crazy. And I think it's the Hawks fans that are making me a little insane right now. Because I don't know where they came from. I don't know where all this bravado came from. But it's almost as if, if the Hawks don't hit 23s, it's almost as if the Sixers, don't get 0 points from the bench. It's almost as if the Sixers don't turn the ball over 9 times in a quarter and let up 42 points in a quarter, they're going to beat the Hawks.
Pretty handily, I think.
Here's a stat for you. In the second half last night, and this is before the game ended, so there was still time left. The Sixers have 57 points and 0 turnovers on 40 second half possessions. Now, I'm not expecting that.
No.
But it's almost as if they don't kick themselves in their own ass and don't get in their way against a lesser talented team, they're going to win. Right? And this brings me to my next point. I've talked about it a lot. Plus minus is a very skewed statistic. Am I right or wrong?
In every sport, yeah.
Right. But we now have a 96-minute sample size of it. We have 2 game sample size of it. The Hawks have won a game. The Sixers have won a game. What's been the one consistent? The Sixers starters have all been a plus by a pretty decent, margin. And the Hawks starters have all been a negative in the first 2 games. Both games. I think that's a very telling tale of what's going on, dude. I get it. The series is 1-1. The Hawks did their job. They stole a game. They took home court away from the Sixers for the time being. I get all that, guys. Context. Like I said, George, 20 made threes. The Sixers gave up 42 points in the first quarter. They're the best defensive team left in the NBA right now.
Yep.
9 turnovers for like 16 points off turnovers for Atlanta in that first quarter or first half. Like, if that doesn't happen, who's the better team? If that's showing you that.
It's not even close. I mean, like, game 1, they come out there and they make 23-pointers. They average what? What's up, Abe? They average what, like 12 a game during the regular season?
They averaged 12 a game in the regular season. They averaged 12 in the Knicks series. And they made 11 last night.
It's almost like after a game 1 loss, you make adjustments and the better team prevails.
That's a good way to put it.
Right? That's kind of how it works. Like, they made defensive adjustments on Trae Young. They did everything they had to do in game 2, and they won by 16. Danny Green doesn't go on Trae Young again. Ben Simmons starts the game off on Trae, and Trae goes out there and he's 1 for 7 from 3, 6 for 16 from the field, and the Sixers win by 16. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks fans are going into the series. They're very cocky and confident, and after game 1, it was Twitter.
Exactly, guys. Where are y'all at, dude? Because I had them on this show on Monday, and I told them, please come back on Wednesday. Come back. And they were like, oh, we'll be back. We'll be right here. If you are, y'all are quiet. You're not commenting because I don't see any of yous right now.
I would love to see a Hawks fan perspective right now. Like,
there's no way you're confident. Like, and I said this, George, and they're acting like they are on Twitter and on social media, but there's just no way. I'm being realistic. As a Sixers fan, if the Sixers had a 27-point lead in game 1, and then a 17-point lead with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they literally almost lost the game. Like, the Sixers cut it to 2 with 11 seconds left. They almost lost game 1. And then you get your asses whooped for about 44 of the 48 total minutes last night.
Panic mode.
I wouldn't be confident. I'm being dead serious with you. I'm not saying this because I'm on the other side of this argument. I'm being completely 100% real and honest with you guys. I would not be confident if the roles were reversed with how this series has played out so far. But somehow, some way, I don't know if it's their way of coping with how this series has gone so far, and they're trying to keep hope, maybe. But, man.
It's not even just that. It's like, you're also looking at the #1 seed in the East with runner-up of Defensive Player of the Year and MVP against a far less superior Atlanta Hawks team. There's no way you are confident. Even going back to Atlanta, it's 1-1. If it was 2-0, that's fine. You can be confident because I'm scared if I'm the Sixers.
Right.
But no, there should be worry.
Yeah, I mean, we said we were talking about this a little bit, man, but we'll get back to it right now if you want. Doc, that's a big thing. He's adjusted on the defensive end, and he's adjusted with the rotations right now. He's not playing around. And when it gets to the starters, I said it, like, it's a 96-minute sample size, and plus minus, I don't like to use that as like the focal point of an argument. But for 96 minutes, the Hawks starters have been a big negative, and the Sixers starters have been a big positive. And the series is 1-1. I think it's very telling just how sloppy the Sixers were in game 1, how hot the Hawks were in the first half, and how the Sixers bench has performed so far. I think those are the big 3 things that the Hawks stole game 1. They did their job. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not in any way, shape, or form scared or nervous going forward. And I'll just, there's a couple more people in here, so I'll bring up that argument we started the show with, George, and I'll just base this to dives into Abe here. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of, I hated every single year after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the underdog mentality, the backs against the wall, everyone against Philly, right? I hated it because if you're a good franchise, you don't need that, right? It was fun for a year. It was cool for a year. I don't want that every single year going forward. And now it's like somehow the national media and even fans in our own city on social media have portrayed this, the 5 seed Atlanta Hawks have a better chance to upset the 1 seed Sixers than the Sixers do at beating the Hawks. I don't get it. I don't. And the reason why, I just keep hearing Trae Young. The Sixers have no answer for him. When the Sixers have literally shown that they have an answer for him after the first half of game 1. He struggled in the second half of game 1, and he got locked up last night. 6 of 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from deep last night. Reversely, the Sixers had the MVP runner-up, who's averaging 39.5 through the first 2 games. The Hawks have no answer for him. So I don't understand where I'm hearing and why I'm hearing the Sixers are going to lose the series because they don't have an answer for Trae Young, when it should be the Hawks don't have a goddamn chance to win the series because they don't have an answer for the MVP runner-up. And that should be the story.
It's great that Clint Capella was very gassed up after that Knicks series, too. It was like, this guy's playing so good defensively. Like, he could
minus 25 last night.
20, like, there's no answer for Joel Embiid on that team.
Do you want your lunch money back, bro? Like,
take it.
And I said it's not even just Capella. They have nothing to throw at him. The Wizards had nothing to throw at him, but the Wizards at least had 3 bodies to throw at him. The Hawks don't. Capella's not a match to begin with, right? I get he led the league in rebounds. That's very cute. He brings nothing offensively outside of that lob threat. Literally nothing, George. No, you can't show me one skill. You can't show me one offensive skill he has in his bag outside of catching a lob from Trae Young. Okay, defensively, he's not a match for Joel Embiid. And then, like I said, you're either going smaller with John Collins on him, or they're bringing in that young kid. I forget who it is. Gint was talking about him last night.
Yeah,
Ngakwe. Yeah. I don't know. They have no answer for him.
Yeah, no. And
so I'm so freaking confused. And then, I don't really want to give them any attention and give them any credit. And obviously, they're on a much larger scale. So who the hell cares if Dylan Davis on the Daily Dose is, ragging them? But it's just so frustrating to me when I hear these people on a national scale, a la Kendrick Perkins, who was picking Joel Embiid for the MVP, who was saying that the Sixers have a chance to beat the Brooklyn Nets and win the NBA Finals probably 2 to 3 weeks ago. Then he said we were going to struggle against Washington. That didn't happen. And now today he's doubling down and continuing to say we're going to lose to the Atlanta Hawks. People are saying Tobias Harris has to average 30 to beat the Atlanta Hawks. Guys, what happened? What happened to the narrative that, the 1 seed was so important because we get the Wizards, we get the 8 seed, and then we get the winner of the Knicks and the Hawks. And the Hawks are better than people thought. Don't get me wrong. But because they won 1 game, 1 half really, they're going to upset the Sixers 4 times?
Dude, I don't want to sound cocky, but it's a cakewalk. We're not losing to the Atlanta Hawks. We're not losing a series. Even after game 1, we are not losing to the Atlanta Hawks. This series might go 6, and that's the most it's going to go.
I think it'll go 6.
Yeah, it's not going 7. There's no way in hell it goes 7. The
Hawks have to win one of the next 2 games. That's what I'll give them. If they lose both in Atlanta, it's over in 5. It's a gentleman's sweep.
Yep.
I can see them winning one of the next 2 in Atlanta. Comes back to Philly. Sixers win 3-2, and then Atlanta's done. It's hard for me to say, unless the Sixers, shoot themselves in the foot or, God forbid, an injury to one of our big players happens. I don't know how the Atlanta Hawks overcome the pressure. When the Sixers apply pressure, they're shell-shocked. It's been proven.
That dive stat it's a nice stat. I like that.
Let's see. This is his favorite stat from yesterday on Trae Young. Touches, regular season 85.7, Knicks series 86.8, Sixers game 2 45.
No,
He says the Sixers deserve a ton of credit for denying Trae the ball and making him. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, right? I think not only did they hedge the high screens better, they trapped better coming around the screen. They didn't allow him to get into the painted area with Joe at low and drop coverage for that floater or lob. They hedged those screens and made him, get rid of the ball. And then, like Dibe said, they did a great job, and that stat proves it. Ben, Matisse, whoever was on him, did a great job of denying him getting the ball back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we needed, right? Because that floater game and that lob game, it is good. It is it's a great asset for him and Capella and whoever else. But if you're forcing him to take those parking lot 3-pointers, or with Ben is just so much bigger than him, first of all, and it's just great to see. And
if they and I hate to say it, if the refs let him play.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
if they let him play. And dude, the funniest thing was, so you know how Ben made those comments after game 1 about how he wants Trae, but the refs have to let him play, not calling those fouls. And I saw Hawks fans again, quote tweeting it and commenting on the video about how, you don't basically saying he has to foul Trae to stop him. No, dipshit. That's not what he's saying. He's saying he's going to be physical with him, so don't be calling no ticky-tack fouls when Trae Young throws his head up in the air after a little bit of contact to his arm. That's the point of that statement. Not saying he has to hack Trae Young all game. He's going to get down, he's going to get physical with them at half court. If they're going to call the game tight, and as soon as Trae Young gets touched on his hip and they call a foul, Trae Young's going to eat that game. But they allow the best defender in the league to be physical with him, not foul him, just be physical with him. It's a different ball game, and you saw it last night.
Yeah, and Trae's still getting those calls too, and it's very, very frustrating. That's why Ben, after game 1, when he got on him in the second half, he picked up his 3rd foul so fast because of little ticky-tacky calls, and that's why he had to get off of Trae that quickly. So him starting the game off with Trae and locking him down from the jump, not even a slow start, from the jump, Trae Young was locked up, and he couldn't even find a 3-point shot. He couldn't even put one up in the beginning.
Dude, he was a -11 last night again.
I know. And
he's been a -11 the first 2 games of this series.
Solomon Hill was -18.
18, dude. Capella 25.
I'm pretty sure the lowest one on the Stars is -9.
Yep.
Yeah, so
that was Collins. And then here's a very telling tale for you. We know what Gallinari and Kevin Huerter did last night offensively. They were both the reason that the Hawks kept themselves in the game for as long as they did. Huerter was a +4 and Gallinari was a +2. How telling is that? They dropped 20 and 21 points on 8 of 10 shooting and 7 of 15 shooting. Mind you, that's not going to happen again. So let's throw that out the window. Maybe one. That's why I think it'll go 6, because I think at one of the home games in Atlanta, they'll all catch fire and they'll hit 17 threes. Or I just had that feeling. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, but that's not sustainable enough to beat a better team 4 times. It'll win you 2 games. It's not sustainable enough. And I think that's what Hawks fans just got this big head. Well, we do shoot like that. We really shoot like that. No, you don't.
You don't. And that's the word. That's the most frustrating part about these fans. They come in here they're a complete team that is going to shoot the lights out, and there's not. It's not them. And I don't like how they really do think that. Pull up that last comment though, because that is true. We saw a lot of lobs getting tipped and taken from them, which was huge, because game 1 you didn't see it as much. So that was awesome. That was very true.
Yeah, man. And Abe said Hawks game is Trae pick and roll. And Dives put up that stat before the series started about they are heavy pick and roll. Score, lob, pass out to the corner 3. Sixers trap Trae from half court, forcing Trae to have the pass before the pick and roll, throwing them off of their game plan. And then again, they denied him to get the ball back after that. They made other guys. And listen, the national broadcast, that the pre and post and halftime show, meaning Shaq, Kenny, Charles, don't get me wrong, they're ultra annoying. But I think Kenny, was showing. I don't know if you saw the halftime show or not, George, or anybody watching.
I'll switch to you.
Kenny showed a great he detailed a great thing on the board about the Sixers defense, about how these these Hawks players, they're finishers. They're not playmakers, right? So meaning Trae Young's the playmaker, and when he gets to dribble drive around that pick and roll, and he's hitting Bogdanovich in the corners, he's hitting Herter, he's hitting John Collins, he's hitting Capella for a lob. They're finishers, and that's why they were so deadly against the Sixers in Game 1. They're not playmakers. So you force Trae to get the ball out of his hands early. Now Bogdanovich has the ball at the top of the key one-on-one. Now John Collins has the ball in the low post with his back to the basket. They're not playmakers. They're not that. They're finishers when they have open looks. They're finishers when, they're catch and shoot instances like that. They're not playmakers where they can put the ball on the floor. Here and there they're going to score, sure, but they're not going to beat you that way. And the Sixers did that job last night. One of the last points I want to make today before we wrap up today's show, George, is just the one thing I wanted to see after Game 1. The Sixers got punched in the mouth in Game 1. How do you respond? And they even posted a thing about it. Goal for Game 2, respond. Mission accomplished. They responded, and they responded in a big way. They punched Atlanta in the mouth last night early, and they never allowed them to get back up. Atlanta had one lead. They had a 2-point lead in the entire game.
Yep. And it was
in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Like what are they going to say? Well, we kept it close. Congratulations, bro.
Don't matter.
You lost by 16.
Close, but no cigar, buddy.
Like, but they were the ones beating their chest when they had it. We were up by 27. Yeah, well, you only won by 4, pal. So it's going to be an interesting series, I think, going forward. But just where my head's at, I'm really not that worried. I think the Sixers showed you, exactly how to slow down and how to beat the Atlanta Hawks. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, it really is, because as long as you have an option or two that can shut down Trae Young as their top scorer in Atlanta, you should have an easy road ahead to win the series. And it should not go 7. It should go at least 6. So, or at the most 6. So, as long as Ben's on Trae, Tease is on Trae, you're shutting him down. You're not giving him that
until Ben gets 3 early fouls, and then the game plan has to change.
Because even Trae with the one parking lot 3 ball, Ben just gets up there and blocks it. He's so much bigger than him. So I'm on your boat. I don't have any big worries about the series.
No, now again, I'm not acting like I'm super.
Yeah, no.
Don't get it wrong. I'm not sitting back, relaxing, sipping on a drink when Game 3 starts. I'm on the edge of my seat, nervous as hell, screaming, everything like that. But as a whole, worry about the entire series, about them losing and getting knocked out in the second round, I'm just not there. I'm really not. If they got their doors blown off in Atlanta in Game 3, my tone's going to change. But I don't see that happening. I'm not being biased. I'm not being unrealistic. I just don't see it happening. I'm not falling for this national media shit narrative that all of a sudden the Atlanta Hawks are some world beater.
They're not. We're just better. And
what's next? They're going to beat the Sixers, and then they're going to beat the Brooklyn Nets and go to the NBA Finals. Is that the next tale?
Yo, Trae Young. Nobody's stopping Embiid, and that's the biggest thing out of all this series. Nobody is touching Joel Embiid. And if that is the case, and if he's healthy, come on.
Right. And you're not going to have a night where Joel shoots 6 for 20. I really don't see that happening. So I'm chilling. I'm cool. I'm going to say Sixers in 6, but if they win both in Atlanta, it's Sixers in 5. For myself, you can give me a follow at DylanJD98. My man George, thank you so much for coming on and filling in today at _George Ryder. He is a part, guys, of DSM Media and the Painted Lines here. So please hit that subscribe button on TPL's YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter accounts. And please subscribe to DSM Media's YouTube and Twitch accounts. We're also on TikTok. So go follow our TikTok at DSM Media. Have a nice night. Go Sixers. Ring that bell. Play that song.